Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to just make a really quick episode. I felt called to, and I'm home alone right now because my boo, he's out. And I find it's just so much easier for me to record these when he's not at home because you know what? I'm shy. And it's kind of connected to what I wanted to talk about today, which is that I got this comment on a TikTok video I made about not giving up on your dreams, on your, pursuit of whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it was this comment from this person who essentially said that she doesn't want to give up, but she is afraid of being perceived. And I responded to her and I was like, I used to think that I was scared of being perceived, but really what it was that I was scared of being misunderstood. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The fear of being perceived is not actually about the fear of being perceived. You think that you're scared of other people looking at you and seeing you, like you actually being like a visible thing. You think that you're scared of taking up space. You think that you're scared of, being watched or looked at or all this stuff. It's like, that's not what you're afraid of. What you're actually afraid of, and what it boils down to, is this fear of being misunderstood. You're scared that if they do look at you, they won't understand what they're seeing, or they're going to misunderstand whatever way it is that you're trying to present yourself. And this was the truth for me. It's like getting to the root of that fear was getting to the root of a lot of pain in my life, like the pain of being misunderstood. Like I am someone who has been misunderstood my entire life. My parents didn't understand me. My family didn't understand me. Kids at school didn't understand me. Teachers didn't understand me. When I went out into the world, to try to make friends and to try to make chosen family and all this stuff, these people did not understand me. Like, I think that there's only very few people in the world who have ever understood me in any capacity. Those are like my very, very, very close friends and my partner. And even then, it's like there's only a partial understanding that happens, right? Because I don't believe that you can ever fully understand another person or another human being. And that's part of this earth human life experience. Like, you're not going to be understood. So you have to accept that. And I think once you accept that, you can get over this fear of being misunderstood, because it is a fear that most people have. Is just like, imagine you like put all of this work into presenting yourself, presenting your work, whatever it is. You put all of this work into it. You're being really deliberate about stuff. You're making, certain choices because you're like, this means this to me. But at the end of the day, that might mean that to you, but it could mean something completely different to another person. And think about how much time you spend thinking about yourself and compare that with how much time you spend thinking about others. If you are a relatively healthy person, you think about yourself so much more than you spend thinking about other people. So do you think that you understand other people in the way that they present themselves? No, your perception of other people is always going to be filtered through your own lens, your own biases, your own experiences, your own triggers, your own, whatever has happened to you in your life up until that moment. So you don't actually even understand other people. And I feel like coming back to that and like understanding that has really helped me as far as like not being afraid of being perceived. Like now I feel much more comfortable being myself and accepting the fact that I'm going to be misunderstood. And I am. I feel like I spent like the last year or so just really almost like taking this as like an exercise or something, and allowing myself to be who I am in the moment. Because that's the other thing too about the fear of being perceived / misunderstood, is that the misunderstanding also comes because you're changing in every moment. You might have presented yourself in one way like, a year ago, and that is going to have a completely different meaning a year later. You're not going to be the same person. You're just not. Like even 5 minutes later, like there is this inconsistency when it comes to identity as a human being. And this is a natural part of being a person in the world. You're going to be inconsistent. You're going to be hypocritical. You're going to contradict yourself all the time, all the time. There is never a time where your wires are not getting crossed, where you're not going forwards, backwards, left, right, up, all sorts of different directions. Like, this is just part of being a human being. And you have to accept that. And you have to accept that that also means that you're going to be misunderstood. You are. And the crazy thing is that like all of us do this, but I feel like there's also this thing that all humans do where the expectation is that other people are going to be a constant. We look to other people for consistency. We have expectations of other people to be the same. And that's probably where that fear comes from, because we know that we do it. So we know subconsciously that other people are doing that as well. And you have to let go of that. Like, you actually just have to completely let go of all of that if you want to enjoy your life and not go crazy, and also be yourself publicly, which I think is the goal for every artist, is to just be yourself publicly, express yourself publicly, and not be so tied into how other people are interpreting or understanding that. And again, like, I've spent the last year really like drilling this into my fucking brain. It's not to say that I've ever been a particularly like people-pleasing person. I think I've had people-pleasing tendencies for sure, but I don't think I please a lot of people. Like, I'll be real, And part of that is because I kind of lean into the misunderstanding that people will have of me. But I feel like this year in particular, I have really worked on my desire to not be misunderstood. Like, I've really worked on like this thing I used to do where I used to try to like temper myself to make sure that like, I'm able to like fit into another person's understanding of me, so there won't be this huge discrepancy in like who they think I am and how I present myself or how I actually am as a person. And I used to do this subconsciously. It was a way of staying safe, right? And of having safety in relationships with other people. And I just got to the point where I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I'm tired, I'm so tired. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Then you can move on with your life and you can find somebody that you like, right? And I can move on with my life and I can find people that like me. Biggest effects of this that I've seen, I think, are in the way that my fan base is growing and forming. I feel like now my fans that I have, they understand that I'm always going to give you something different. Like, you're always going to get something different out of me, but there is a core to all of these like different expressions and different ways of presenting different aesthetics, different whatever. The core of all of it is truth, right? I'm always going to tell you the truth. That's 100%. And I feel like my fans that I have now, they understand that. And that's why they're so open to all these different expressions that I have. Like, first started music, I felt like there was a lot of people who were comfortable with me expressing in one way. And that way of expression was like me being just this very, kind of like aggressive, like this very like aggressive, industrial, intense, punky energy. And that was my truth at that moment. That was who I was. That was, how I needed to express myself. That was my truth in that moment. But it's not my truth now. It's not the way I need to express myself now. It's not the way that my art comes out of me now. And I remember when I first came out with So Hard to Tell, a lot of people were so surprised at that sound. And there was a few people who really like didn't like it, and I could tell, and they were just like not interested in like engaging with me on that level because of the idea of me that they had in their mind and where they wanted me to stay. And with this new record now and like the new sounds that are coming out, I think that there was that same kind of culling that happened initially, but the fans that have remained and the new fans that have come, I just feel like they're a lot more open-minded, and they also accept me more for who I am, and they understand that I'm going to have all these different expressions and all these different ways of being. And that is something that I'm also starting to realize, like, you got to look for in all areas of your life. Like, you need friends that will understand this about you. You need a partner that will understand this about you. You need to be surrounded by people that will understand all these like different aspects about you, or not even understand the different aspects themselves, but just understand that you are like a changeable, flexible person of many multiplicities, many different ways of being, because it's all you need. And that's the other thing about the fear of being misunderstood, is that you think you need to be understood, but you don't actually need to be understood. What you need to be is accepted and seen, you know? You don't need people to understand exactly whatever it is that you're doing. You just need them to accept you and to respect you and respect your autonomy, respect your humanity. And I think that's also what we can give to others, is just like the acceptance and respect of their humanity, their expression, all of this stuff. And yeah, that's what that is. And I swear, I feel like this has been such a big part of the last year of my life, because I'm gonna be real with you guys. I think about quitting music every single fucking day. And I can go more in depth about that, you know, and like talk about like all these reasons why and stuff. But something I said to myself was like, okay, if this is like the last thing I'm going to do, which I don't think it is, I don't think I'm quitting. Okay. I'm just going to say that. But if this is the last thing I'm going to do, like at the very least, I want to go out in a way where I can be proud of myself and I can be proud of my conduct and my, you know, expression. And that means not being afraid of being misunderstood anymore, accepting that I'm going to be misunderstood, but not accepting disrespect, not accepting, you know, a lack of acceptance. And I'm very proud to say that I've really stuck to that, which has made the last year really difficult. It has, like, I can't lie. This has been, you know, a friend of mine, I was talking to her the other day, and we were like saying that this has been a really psychologically difficult year, because it motherfucking has. But I'm proud of that. Like, I'm proud of sticking to those principles and sticking to my guns on those things. And, you know, the hope is always that, like, okay, like, I stuck to my values, and so that means I'm going to be rewarded down the line, like, with this, and this. But the only true reward that you get for sticking to your values is peace, inner peace, you know? You're not at war with yourself. You can go to bed easy peasy. You don't have nightmares. You're not plagued by a falsity of self. Like, you have peace, because, you know, at the very least, you're being real. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll motherfucking take it. Like, yeah. This world is crazy, guys. This world is crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this. I love you. Mwah!